Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Yeji, like yay, G. And today I wanted to talk about an updated version of my Disney World video. So about a year ago, I made a video about Disney World like tips and tricks and how you can do Disney a little bit like cheaper, because Disney is expensive. So if you guys are interested in that video, I'll link it up above and also leave it in the description box below. But because that video is a year old, I wanted to make an updated version and add a little bit more detail. So in no particular order, here are my tips and tricks that you can use to make Disney World a little bit more affordable for you and your family. So starting off with number one, I wanted to talk about hotels, more specifically Marriott hotels. Did you know there are 3 Marriott properties in Disney World that is not associated with Disney, but you can still get Disney benefits, such as early entry and extended evening hours, just the same as you would get at a Disney Deluxe resort. These hotels are the Marriott Swan, the Dolphin, and the Swan Reserve. And I'm gonna be honest, like the Swan and the Dolphin is really ugly. And I know like someone famous like designed the outside of the hotels, but honestly, like the orangish coral color with the green, I'm like, I don't know, that's a bit old for me. I feel like they need to update these hotels. They have been remodeling slowly inside, but I still feel like the outside needs a little bit of work. If you don't care about Disney theming inside the hotels, then I think these are good options to look at because you can book these hotels using Marriott points, which means that you can also book these rooms using the free night certificates that you get from different credit cards, which is amazing. The Swan Reserve is nice because it's a newer property and it's an autograph collection. So I prefer staying at the Swan Reserve, but of course it is a little bit more pricier. So I like to use my free night certificate that I get from the Brilliant card, which is 85K. And a lot of the times, like the 85K will cover for a night majority of the time. So you can use a free night certificate and then use points to like cover for the other days. Or if you're just gonna book with cash, then you can do that as well. And also the distance to the parks is actually closer than some other Disney properties. So you can take the ferry to go to Epcot or Hollywood Studios. Honestly, you can even walk to Epcot if you wanted to. That's how close these properties are. So the proximity to the parks is like really nice. And some people might complain, oh, because they're not technically like Disney hotels, the buses will drop you off at like the TTC. Well, the little trick is if you walk over to Boardwalk and take the Disney buses from the Boardwalk, then you can actually be dropped off right in front of Magic Kingdom and bypass the whole like TTC thing. And that's totally legal. Like you can totally do that. So, I mean, why not, So if that's stopping you, like the whole like transportation thing with the buses to Magic Kingdom, then that's a little tip to use. Now, if you have platinum or higher tier status, then you get free breakfast. And I know like breakfast is a loose term when it comes to Disney. A lot of the times they will give you a coupon when you check in, and these coupons you can use at the coffee shops at the hotels. So it's not really like full on like buffet type of breakfast. It's really not. It's more like a grab and go, but still, like if you're planning on rope dropping, I mean, who has the time to actually eat a full breakfast and sit down right in the morning? Like no one, right? So I actually prefer that they give you little coupons like this. That way you can grab something quickly from the coffee shop and that will kind of sustain you until like early entry is over, and then perhaps like 9:30, 10 o'clock, you can sit down and have a proper breakfast at the parks. And of course, if you're gonna book these properties, then make sure to use your Marriott card. That way you get points on top of like cash back that you'd get from purchasing, directly from Marriott. But also, these are like regular hotels. So technically, you can book them through like a third party, whether like through Expedia or like bookings.com, or even like if you want to use like a credit card portal like Chase or Amex Travel or something like that, you can also do that. Just make sure to compare prices. And if you are using a third party portal, then of course you can also use like Rakuten or some sort of a cashback portal so you get more points, because we all know Disney is expensive and we want to get as much points or cash back as possible, right? With all the money that we're spending. If you do decide to book from the Chase portal, use a card like Chase Sapphire Reserve, where you get 8x for booking a hotel from the Chase portal. If you're thinking about booking through City portal, then make sure you use a card like a City Strata Elite, where you get 12x for booking hotels. Or if you're going to book through the Amex portal, then use a card like an Amex Platinum that gives you 5x. And if you're going to use any of the bank portals to book, I would suggest booking with Citi just because they give you 12x, whereas like Chase is 8 and Amex is 5. I mean, 5 and 12, the difference, it's crazy. So if the prices are pretty comparable to one another, I would say go with Citi. Like I said, normally I like to stay at Marriott properties because I don't really honestly care for the Disney theming. I mean, I guess once in a while it is nice, but like realistically speaking, I mean, honestly, like if you're traveling to Disney a lot and you're always staying at deluxe resorts, it gets a little bit expensive. Not a little bit, a lot expensive. So I prefer to save a little bit and stay at a Marriott property. And also because I'm staying at a Marriott property, I can get elite night credits with it. I can request free night upgrades if you have the upgrade certificates. But sometimes depending on your status, they'll automatically upgrade you to a nicer room. But don't think like you're gonna get a suite or anything like that. Remember, this is Disney, so there's gonna be a lot of people all the time. So the upgrade will be very minimal, like a better view, for instance, type of upgrade, not necessarily a jump in like room size. Now, if you're not gonna book Marriott hotels and you wanna stay at Disney properties at like deluxe resorts, then I suggest looking into DVC. DVC stands for Disney Vacation Club, and a lot of people that have Disney timeshare sometimes might rent those points out and you can book rooms using those points. So there's two companies that I recommend, David's Vacation Club Rentals and dvcrentalstore.com. I've used them both and I like them both, but I do think David's Vacation Club has more information on the website that makes it easier for first timers to like purchase and look at things. So for instance, if you go to David's Vacation Club Rentals, you can go to DVC Guests and go to Cost Calculator. And then you just select random times that you would like to go. For instance, we like to go in December because my daughter is a December baby and I love Christmas. So I'm just gonna pick random dates in December. Let's say the 1st to the 5th, for instance. Then it'll tell you how much these deluxe resorts are gonna cost. Animal Kingdom, Bay Lake Tower, Beach Club, Boardwalk, etc., etc. Now, if you look at the Grand Floridian, for instance, the cheapest, which is a resort view, is $18.75 for the 4 nights that you're gonna stay. Now, if you go to the actual Disney website and you plug in the same dates, the 1st to the 5th, 2 adults, 1 child, let's just say, Grand Floridian, and you go to the resort view, this is how much they're gonna charge you. $927.50, and this is per night. Per night. That is crazy expensive. Whereas if you book through DVC stores, it's only $18.75. That's essentially like a fourth of the price that you would pay if you had to pay like the rack rate that Disney charges for that room. So, I mean, can you see why I would much rather rent points, like DVC points, than go directly with Disney, right? I mean, it's literally the same room. Of course, if you want to get like nitty gritty, then, you know, booking with Disney, it's technically a hotel. So they might have like more housekeeping days versus like DVC rooms. They don't have housekeeping every day and, you know, little things like that. But honestly, I don't care about that. If the price is like a fourth, then I would much rather rent the points. And remember, these hotels go super fast, as in like super, super, super fast. So if you are thinking about it, then you need to think like a year in advance. I think 11 months is actually when you can start booking. So you need to book 11 months ahead of when you would want to travel, especially if you want to go over the holidays and you want to go to like these popular resorts. I mean, all DVC hotels are popular, let's be real, but I know like Grand Floridian, Riviera, they're like super, super popular. So you need to be on it 11 months before. Now, I mentioned that David's Vacation Club Rentals is easier for first timers, but I would honestly much rather book through DVC Rental Store just because they have a membership program, which means that the more times you book from DVC Rental Store, they'll give you points. That way, when you add up those points, eventually you can have another vacation using those points. And they have a lot of other brands under their umbrella. So they have like Be Our Guest, which is like their travel agency. DVC Rental Store is where you can book your actual like DVC hotels. They also have like a DVC resale website where you actually wanted to buy a Disney timeshare, then you can buy like resales from them. So they have a whole bunch of companies. And if you're gonna book, you know, and they're the same price, then might as well get something back and book through a company that gives you some sort of points back in return. So when I booked DVC through them, it coded as travel. You want to make sure you use a card that gives you multipliers on travel, and that would be like the Amex Green, where you can get 3x on travel. And I mean, Chase Sapphire Reserve used to have that, but now with the refresh, they got rid of the travel category, so I can no longer recommend the Chase Sapphire Reserve. But if you don't have the Amex Green, you can always just use a regular 2x card. I mean, Capital One Venture X, Citi Double Cash, any card that gives you above 2x is fine. But of course, if you can get more points, the better. Now let's talk about tickets. There are multiple ways to purchase tickets. Of course, you can book directly with Disney and get tickets that way, or you can use third parties such as Undercover Tourist or Unlocked Magic. For this past trip, I actually used Unlocked Magic, and they're part of the DVC rental stores. You can also get like loyalty points by booking like with them, and that's why I decided to go with them, because I'm like, hey, if I'm gonna like pay for this anyways, might as well get something like points in return, where, you know, if it adds up, I can get something in the future. Whereas if I book directly with Disney, then it's kind of like I get nothing, right? And the nice thing about these third parties is that they give you a little bit of a discount back. So from my experience, Undercover Tourist, they give you like $10, $20, depending how much you spend. So it's really minimal. It's not a lot. But I actually discovered Unlocked Magic gives me a little bit more than Undercover Tourist. For a 5-day ticket, I saved around $162 by booking through Unlocked Magic instead of directly with Disney. If you also add the Memory Maker, they give you a $10 discount. So instead of $185, I paid $175. So yes, I know like the savings is not a lot. I mean, ticket savings, I would say it's a lot because it's like $162. But Memory Maker, it's not that much. I get it, but then it adds up. So even $10 off, I think is a big deal, because that's a drink. Honestly, go to Epcot and use that money on a drink. Like, why not, right? And you get like loyalty points with this on top of the discounts that you get. So I personally like Unlock Magic, and they're super good about it. And they sent me an email pretty fast so I could link it to my Disney app. But if I had to pay like the full Disney price and purchase it from the website directly, I would have had to pay $2,486. So going third party, in this case using Unlock Magic, saves me a lot more money than Disney. Now, both Disney and Unlock Magic codes as entertainment when I purchase tickets through them. So you want to make sure you use a credit card that gives you a higher multiplier on entertainment. So the Chase Freedom Flex sometimes has a rotating category on entertainment that you can take advantage of whenever that comes around for you. Or you could also use a card like the Capital One Savior card, which gives you 3x on entertainment. Now, the interesting thing about booking tickets though is that if you call Disney Direct and purchase like the ticket with an agent over the phone, it codes as travel, which is super weird. Like, it's the same ticket, but if you book through the website, it's entertainment. If you book through an agent, it's travel. But regardless, if you're booking through an agent, then use a card that codes as travel, such as the Amex Green card. And if you want to use the bank portal, you can also do that. In my previous video about Disney World, which remember is down below, if you want to go check out like a year-old video, I talk about how to book Disney World tickets on the Citi platform, and I go in depth and show you how to do it. So you can go check that video out if you want to. But this time around, because Citi refreshed their card, I suggest you use the Citi Strata Elite card, because they'll give you 12x. And Disney tickets are not cheap. So if you book a couple $1,000s worth of tickets and you use this card that gives you 12x, that's a lot of Citi points that you're gonna get in like the 10,000, 20,000 range, okay? That's a lot. So if you're gonna book through Citi, then book it with the Strata Elite like nothing else. So something to note about tickets, and this happened to me this past trip, and I wanted to let you guys know in case, this happens to you as well. So we did Disney World Cruise and Disney World. And so when I purchased tickets, it didn't cover all the way to like after the cruise portion. So I was thinking, oh, let me book like 5 days, because that's actually the number of days that I'm going to be in the parks. And I thought that would be enough. But no, Disney tickets have like validity. So my validity ended like right after the cruise. So like after the cruise, we're planning to go back to Disney World. Well, those days weren't covered. So I called Disney and we priced things out, and turns out it's actually cheaper to just add on a couple more days afterwards than to book tickets like the first portion and then go on a cruise and then book an additional like 1 or 2 days extra like separately, because also like Christmas season things are a lot more expensive, but also you remember Disney tickets gets cheaper the more days you add. So for us it was actually just cheaper to add a couple days extra, even though we're not going to be in the parks like the whole time, if that makes sense. So just keep that in mind when you go on a cruise or something and you plan on coming back. So now that we decided where we're going to stay and we got our tickets, we need to think about how we're going to get there, right? So of course you can use like airline points if you have loyalty or any points with different airlines, but I also suggest looking into companion passes such as the Southwest Companion Pass, the Delta Companion Pass, and the City Companion Pass. So actually my next video is going to be about Southwest Companion Pass. So if you guys stick around and subscribe for my next video, then you can hear all about Southwest Companion Pass and how to get it. So you can get Southwest Companion Pass, and it's like the best out of all the other companion passes because you can use the pass as many times as you want within a 2-year period. So not just Disney, but anytime you travel and you go with Southwest and you have the companion pass, and your companion or your spouse or your children, they can use the companion pass like every time you travel, which is amazing. The Amex Delta Platinum card also gives you a companion pass, but this is only valid for like once on a round trip ticket. Same thing with the City American Airlines Globe card. It's just like a one round trip ticket that you can use. So if you have any of these cards, then you can use the companion pass when you go to Disney. And another tip for those of you that fly American Airlines, we fly American Airlines the most because we're based out of DFW, and so the trick that I like to use is booking through British Airways, because sometimes you might not have enough American Airlines points, and if City is the only partner and you don't have enough City points, then you're kind of like stuck. But because British Airways is partnered with a bunch of different banks, you have more options to book British Airways by transferring those points in. And through the British Airways website, you can book American Airlines. And for instance, like DFW to MCO, it's a pretty common flight. And so a lot of American Airlines flights show up on the British Airways website. Of course, like not every flight is going to be available because it's a partner airline, but I would much rather book through the British Airways website, even though there's less flights, just because it gives me the option of getting points. And if you're trying to use points and not use cash, then this is just a great way to book flights. Another tip that you can incorporate into your Disney trip is purchasing Disney gift cards. Pretty much any like grocery store will have Disney gift cards. So if you have a grocery credit card such as the Amex Gold, that gives you 4x on supermarkets, or the City Strata Premier, which gives you 3x on supermarkets, you can rack up a lot of points buying Disney gift cards. But if you have a Kroger near you, Kroger will sometimes have deals where they'll discount your gift cards. So whenever that happens, make sure to go to Kroger like in person. It's not an online thing. You do have to go in person and purchase Disney gift cards. And of course, if you use a supermarket card, then not only do you get points from, purchasing through a credit card, you also get discounted Disney gift cards, which is amazing. Sometimes with Kroger deals, they'll give you points to fill up your gas. So if you want to save a little extra and, purchase Disney gift cards, save a tank or two in gas, then that's another great idea. We have electric cars, so that doesn't apply to us. But if you have a gas car, then it's a good thing to look into it because, free gas. Why not, right? Another tip is using the right credit card when using minivans. And because you request minivans through the Lyft app, make sure you use Chase Sapphire Reserve or Chase Sapphire Preferred to pay for these rides. Because remember, the Reserve card gives you $10 statement credits each month, as well as gives you 5x on Lyft rides. The Preferred card only gives you 5x and no statement credits, but that's okay. You can still get 5x on Lyft rides, and that's better than using just like regular 2x, So if you are planning on using minivans, then make sure to use Chase cards. And I do know like minivans are a little bit more expensive than just regular Ubers and stuff like that. You can technically Uber from like different parks to your hotel, right? If you don't want to deal with like the buses or anything like that, or if you're tired or whatnot. But the nice thing about Lyft is that you don't have to worry about car seats because car seats are already installed, and it's driven by cast members. So Disney employees actually drive these minivans. So the service might be a little bit better. And also they have a TV, so your kids are entertained as well. Now, when you go on a Disney trip, remember, kids under the age of 3 are free. So if you're planning on taking your young child to Disney between like 3 and 4, then I suggest taking them when they turn 3 because, you know, you don't have to pay for an extra person and they can turn 3 on the trip and the whole trip will be free. So that's what we did last year for our daughter when she turned 3. We got into the parks, even the Christmas party, and also like all the dining locations. They were all free because she was 3 at the time. And honestly, I would say like 3 or 4 years old, it's kind of the same. Like it's not like they're like 6 or 7 and they're gonna remember the trip a lot more. So if you're thinking about taking young ones, then just, you know, take them when they're 3, and that way you can save a little bit of money because Disney is expensive. And lastly, I wanted to talk about Disney restaurants. Now, here are the list of all the restaurants that we as a family have dined in that coded as restaurants. You can screenshot this video and use it for future reference. And of course, not every restaurant is gonna be on here because I haven't eaten from all the restaurants at Disney, but we have dined at quite a bit of character dining locations. So if those are something that interests you, then use a card that gives you a higher tier multiplier when it comes to dining. So the Amex Gold, for instance, will give you 4x, the Citi Strata Elite will give you 3x on restaurants, and the Chase Sapphire Reserve will give you 3x as well. And you guys need to give me a thumbs up for effort alone. I literally had to go through like my past statements from different years to find which restaurant was categorized as what. And if you've been to other restaurants that are not on the list, please leave them down below and tell us like what it coded as so we can help each other out. A lot of the Epcot booths, like whenever they have a festival, they also coded as restaurants for me. Obviously not all of them are going to be restaurants, but there are just too many, and sorry, I just couldn't go through all of it. I forget like which booth I went to when, what day. Yeah, sorry, I couldn't get into that much. But like I said, the table service restaurants, the list is there for you. So like I said, give me a thumbs up for the effort alone, okay? It was hard work on my part. So anyway, those are my tips and tricks for making your Disney trip a little bit cheaper. And of course, we all know Disney's expensive. So if you can get something back as much as we can, whether it's like points or cash back or any other method, then why not? And why wouldn't we incorporate that, right? So I hope these tips and tricks help you on your next Disney vacation. And if you guys have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. And I'll see you guys next time with a different video. Bye!